For the second day now, the jury in former President Donald Trump's hush money trial is deliberating in New York. And as of the time of our taping, they spent 4.5 hours yesterday considering his fate. Now, the jury also requested to hear portions of testimony by Michael Cohen, as well as testimony by David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer. They also requested to hear portions of the judge's instructions to the jury again. Here's what Trump had to say yesterday about the case. Take a look.
It's a disgrace, and I mean that. Mother Teresa could not beat those charges, but we'll see. We'll see how we do. It's a very disgraceful situation. The other thing, the confusion is nobody knows what the crime is because there's no crime. Nobody knows what the crime is. The DA didn't name the crime. They don't know what the crime is.
All right, so for more on this, we are joined by friend of the show and veteran trial attorney Mark Eiglarsh.
Yes.
Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me again.
All right, let's kick things off with this. So, Mark, Trump says no one knows what the crime is. So what is the crime that he could be convicted of?
He knows. I mean, the jurors were read what the crimes were. He knows. The crimes are falsifying business records. And that would be a misdemeanor in New York. But what elevates it to a potential felony is that they're alleging that he falsified business records with the intent to commit another crime or conceal that crime. So that's what he's accused of, 34 counts, and he knows it.
All right, Mark, so let's get to the jury. They've been deliberating now for more than 9 hours as of this taping. What do you think this means?
Means they're doing their job, Jeff. You know, they didn't rush to a verdict. If it was within an hour and they just said guilty or not guilty, they'd be crucified. And candidly, I'd even question, really? You're supposed to find out what happened. What are the facts? And apply those facts to see if each element of the crimes have been proven by the prosecutors. So what they're doing is they're taking their time. They're asking for stuff to be read back. They're getting what the law is, and they're trying to do this diligently.
Mark, real quick, I just want to follow up with that. Does that mean one thing or the other? If they last a couple days, is that better for Trump or worse for Trump in some sort of way?
In a high-profile case, and I've had a number of them, it doesn't mean anything. At least one, if not many, know they're going to be criticized regardless of what decision they make. Right. So at a minimum, let's stay in this room for quite some time so they can't accuse us of rushing to judgment.
All right, let me ask you this. Let's say you're in the room and you are asking specifically what they did is to rehear testimony from Michael Cohen and David Pecker, which is, of course, the man from the National Enquirer. Why those specifically? Just pretend you're in there. Why would you have them think that?
All right, so generically, it's hard for them to remember testimony that took place weeks ago. I don't know what I did yesterday. They're supposed to remember the details of what happened. And remember, this judge held closing arguments for an extra week. So it's been a while, right? All 12 can't agree on the facts. And the second thing is Cohen's testimony in particular is everything. The prosecutors are intellectually dishonest when they say, we have a mountain of evidence. It doesn't matter what Cohen says. You can still prove this case without Cohen. I disagree. They need to know what Cohen was saying, whether it's credible or not, whether there's conflicts in his testimony, whether there's interest and motive, and then determine what exactly occurred.
Every time that I see that Mark's on the show, I'm like, thank goodness somebody knows.
I know.
Somebody knows what they're talking about.
Because you want me to discount your next felony. I know how it is.
The next one is the best one. That's what I got to ask. It's because the jury also asked the judge to rehear some of their jury instructions. So what does this indicate, if anything?
It means they're human. I've read through those jury instructions several times. 55 pages long, single-spaced. The average juror has the attention span, so I can make it relatable, of Jeff. So within the first minute, he's thinking, did I close the refrigerator? Did I put the toilet seat down? He's not listening to what's being said. So, of course, they're going to come back and ask, please reread some of these charges.
Oh, God. Before he said it, I was like, he's coming right to me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Mark, you've been in a courtroom, a trial attorney more than anybody. What do you think, based on all your experience, is going to happen?
I am 100% certain that I don't know.
Oh.
And that's the truth. You'll hear it here first. Every other talking head, I know this, I know that. Really? You know these 12 jurors? You know their baggage? You know how they lean? What's happened to them in their lifetimes? You don't know. Now, what do I think should happen? I don't know. It's hard for me to credit Cohen's testimony in this case. I think that the prosecution proved that it was probably done. It was maybe done. And I don't think that that's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. I think that they can say, yeah, I think he probably did it, but that's just not enough.
Interesting.
It was interesting to listen to Trump because he goes, Mother Teresa couldn't even beat these charges, kind of indicating he almost is thinking that he's going to be found guilty. So say he is found guilty of these felonies. Do you think he will serve any prison time?
No. First, I'm not sure the judge is going to give prison time. The judge has been under attack by Trump and many for not being fair. If he gives a trial tax, meaning hitting him for going to trial harder than he would have if he didn't go to trial, it'll look not great. But the second thing is, I think we have a better chance of finding unicorns outside my office building than finding someone who runs the jail or prison who can say, I can safely take care of the former leader of the free world. I can guarantee his safety. Where's that going to happen?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I dig the bubble on the
I know,
the
when you
thumbs
raised
up
your hand, there was a little bubble that went, and that's how we feel about you.
Thank you.
One last question. There we go. Bubbles, bubbles. One last question. Here we go. I just got to ask you. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito refused to recuse himself from cases involving Trump. Now, this comes after these two very kind of controversial flags we're seeing flying outside both of his homes, which indicate support for Trump and the Stop the Steal movement. He says this is his wife's issue.
Blame the wife.
He blamed the wife,
Cool.
who
Thanks.
likes flying flags. That was his quote, okay? Should he have to recuse himself? I'm going to also add Virginia Thomas, Clarence Thomas in there, because I know she also believed in January 6th and Stop the Steal. So I just wanted to ask you your opinion.
At first, I said it's a slam dunk. Of course he should recuse himself. It's the image of impropriety, right? And then I read exactly what he's saying, and I put myself in his shoes. And if my wife, and she does a lot of stuff, you know, that's not me. And my wife has the First Amendment right, as does his wife, to express herself. And if that has nothing to do with me, I shouldn't be recusing myself if I'm a Supreme Court justice, and I would say the same thing with him.
Can I push back really quick? There is a new code of conduct for SCOTUS, for Supreme Court, that says if a reasonable person could doubt the impartiality of that person, then that is breaking that code. Don't you think ethically this looks like that?
I can absolutely see, and to your point, him getting off the case. I think it's probably the best thing because there are some reasonable people who see it that way. But I also see his side.
Got it.
Tori Shulman going toe-to-toe with Mark Eiglarsh.
I can't handle it. I can't handle this
Bubbles
heat, Tori.
everywhere.
You missed your calling. You did. Tori. Mark, thank you.
Still time.
All right.
Thank you for joining us, Mark. We appreciate you. For more information on Mark and his law firm, go to speaktomark.com.